So in today's video, we're going all the way back to 1974, the year that the Rubik's Cube was invented, West Germany won the Football World Cup, the first Rush album was released, and in a factory in Kalamazoo, Michigan, this guitar was made, a Gibson SG Special. So in the video, we'll be listening to some sounds from this old guitar. And we'll be taking a closer look at the specs of this guitar. First, let's look at the history of the Gibson SG Special. So the first iteration of the Gibson SG Special is from 1961 to 1966. Then from 1966 to 1970 it retains the P90s, but it goes to the bigger batwing pickguard. From 1971 to 1972, Gibson completely lose their mind and make the SG Pro. It still has the P90 pickups, but as you can see, it has a front routed control plate, exactly like my 1972 Gibson SG Deluxe, which is actually a really nice guitar, but there is no neck angle. So anyway, Gibson lose their mind 1971-1972, and then the end of 1972 into 1973, the SG Special with mini humbuckers is released, and that's made until 1977. And here it is in a beautiful cherry red finish. So let's have a closer look at this guitar. Let's look at the specs, the neck specs, the pickup readings and stuff like that, the tuners, because the tuners have been changed on this, and really the condition of this old guitar, because it would be fair to say it has been played. Now there are a few dings around the edges. This guitar was 50 years old, so yes, the hardware pitted, has a harmonica bridge, standard for that era, 2 volume, 2 tone pickup selector switch. Now the good thing about the harmonica bridge is you can adjust the intonation a lot. So there's the mini humbuckers with black covers. I've taken all the screws out of the pickguard and stuff. So the horns are back to the way they were pre-1971. Now whoever owned this before me has been doing a lot of strumming near the neck. Wear and tear there. Rosewood fingerboard. Now it has the original frets, this has not been refretted. Beautiful bit of rosewood there now, thick, big wide, flat frets. I'm not sure within acrylic inlays perhaps. Now it does need a clean. They're quite clean there. Get to see the, I don't know if that's the original nut, not entirely sure. So let's have a closer look at the bridge and the tailpiece. Now the tailpiece is super light, definitely lighter than the bridge. I believe these to be original. And the bridge just sits on those two posts there. Like I say, there's plenty of options to change the intonation on this, so it's quite good. Nothing under the pickguard. Looks like it's a 2 or 3 piece mahogany body. Really like this cherry red colour. So let's have a look under the pickups. So they have the pad number, which is on the same one as on the humbuckers from this area as well. I believe this to be on the neck one too, if I can get it out. There we go, pad number. Now it does have a short neck tenon. I'm not entirely sure what that hole in there is. That a dowel hole, something like that? So yeah, a short neck tenon in this era for Gibson. So let's move on to the back. So yes, it has been tuned quite a bit around the edges. I don't know if somebody has actually been tuning, but there's certainly some chips out of it. So I think this is a 3-piece body, 2-piece body, I'm not entirely sure. You can definitely see one joint further up. Strangely enough, there's not a lot of buckle rash on it. Now where the neck heel is, there's a chip there, I mean, and that's not a crack. It's not about to, touch wood, it's not about to fall off. Big chunk out of the finish on the neck there. So yes, it's seen some wear and tear. I think this guitar has been gigged. It has the volute coming up there. Now the tuners have been changed to Wilkinson Deluxe tuners. I've put Wilkinson Deluxe tuners on a few of my guitars and they are really good for the money. So the previous owner has changed these out to Wilkinson, made in the USA. Now it's difficult to tell from the serial number, but having had a quick look at the pots, I believe it to be 1974. In fact, talking about the pots, let's have a look in the control cavity. So here's the control cavity. So the only pot I could kind of make a number out on was that one. So it's 137, which I think is CTS 7325. So is that 1973? I'm not 100% sure. So the pots, I think the pots are made in 1973. So I guess the guitar late 73, early 74. But I'm going to go with 74. Now let's look at the nut width, 39.75. So this is a skinny neck period for Gibsons. That's in millimetres, 39.75 millimetres. And let's see what's at 12th fret. 12th fret goes up to 50.53, again in millimetres. So it definitely gets a bit wider. There's a neck profile of the 1st fret and the 12th fret. So it gets chunkier the further up you go. So let's look at the pickup measurements of these mini humbuckers. So in the bridge position, we're at 6.25. In the middle, 3.17, and in the neck, 6.18. And weighing in at just 6.25 pounds is very, very light as well. So yes, this is very much a relic guitar. Now, I've nothing against people who buy relic guitars. People buy whatever they want, it makes no difference to me. But I do like the look of this one. I mean, I suppose a custom shop could do this, but this has been aged with a lot of playing. I've only owned it for about a year, so I didn't put all this playwear on it. So, you know, I feel like I'm kind of cheating. I didn't do all this. So how do these mini humbuckers sound? I will say they are quite bitey. yeah, so quite bitey, but really nice. I really like these. I like these for doing lower gain things, you know, when I'm doing videos and stuff like that. I really enjoy these pickups for just doing lower gain sounds. But how do the mini humbuckers from 1974, how do they compare to Gibson T-tops from the same era? Well, luckily, as you saw earlier, I do have a 1972 SG. This is an SG Deluxe, essentially an SG standard, but that does have the full size Gibson T-tops with the embossed covers. So let's test the mini humbuckers from 1974 against the T-tops full size humbuckers from 1972. So they do sound different. I think these ones are bitier. These ones I think have a fuller sound. But it's horses for courses, as they say. You know, sometimes you may need the bitiness of the mini humbucker. Sometimes you need the fuller sound of the full size humbucker, the T-top from 1972. Now I'm going to do a full episode comparing these two guitars, just the specs of them and the sounds. I saw a longer video with more comprehensive sound samples. The one thing I would say there's a big difference between these two guitars is in the neck profile. Gibson SGs from the 1970s, certainly the early 70s, are notorious for having very skinny nut widths. Hold him up like that. Very skinny nut widths. This one, the SG Special, I find very comfortable. It's rounded, and the neck is very rounded. Skinny-ish at the top, but I can play this fine. This one, 1972 SG Deluxe, the nut width is even skinnier and the neck itself is a lot skinnier as well. So I find this guitar much easier to play than this one, just from the point of view. This one just has a more comfortable neck. It has a more substantial neck. I mean, it's not a 1959 or a 1958 Les Paul, but this neck just does feel a little bit bigger. So yes, that's a major difference, I would say, other than the pickups. That's a major difference in playability of these. And this one, the Special, does have a neck angle on it coming from the body. This does not. This is just straight off the body. So yes, it's a funny playing guitar, but it's a great sounding guitar. So anyway, so back onto my 1974 Gibson SG Special. So this is one I got last year that I traded a couple of guitars in for, put a bit of money to. And I really like it. It's got the original frets on it, which are quite low, but it's just a great playing guitar, and it's because of the sound of these mini humbuckers, it's got a really sort of unique place whenever I'm doing any recording. You know, if I need something that just sticks out a little more from a normal humbucker sound or something like that, and I don't want to go full single coil, does that make sense? I don't want to use single coils, I will use these, and it seems to bite through the mix a bit more. So yes, it's a lovely old guitar, and I like the look of it. I like old beat up guitars from the 1970s. I grew up in the 1970s, so yes, I like this. So for the final part of the video, here's a very quick tune that I put together with some off the cuff lead guitar jamming over the top of it so you can hear what this final guitar sounds like. As ever folks, it's a privilege and a pleasure bringing you content on Dunsy's Guitar World. Cheers for now.